Hello, everyone, and welcome to a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms live stream. I'm your host, Ronan Unchained, and I have with me my friend Brent, Age of Grogu. Brent, how you doing, man?
Hey, how's it going? Happy New Year, everybody. Happy
Happy
New
New Year,
Year, I
buddy,
should say. Yeah,
and also Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
that's it.
Today
Yeah.
it is a very important day, and so I give shout out to anybody who's celebrating, who still remembers why we celebrate. But uh, Ironically enough, last night the newest show of the world of Game of Thrones showed up called Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, based on the Duncan Egg novella novels. I think that's how George R. Martin coined them.
Mm.
And we're gonna get into it and just give me a heads up, everybody up. It's a spoiler conversation, so if you have not seen the episode, please go watch it and then come back and hang out with us. I'm gonna do my best to not lean into the book, because by the time I saw the season, I did go and read the buy the book and read the first novella that's based on this season.
Right.
So I'll be talking about that, maybe if what you want to talk about. But you've been warned. We are going to talk spoilers. Good luck with y'all if you haven't seen it. Brent, are you a big Game of Thrones fan, Brent, or are you casual?
Okay. All right. So I would say I'd have to call myself casual. I have
Mm,
watched everything to date.
mhm.
That being said, I come from a technical perspective because I'm background into the film industry. So I think technically it's gorgeous. Production design, the costume design, performance acting, everything is fantastic. I've loved the Game of Thrones universes, whatever they've given to us. Granted, there have been some ups and downs and highs and lows in these shows.
Right.
Even House of the Dragon, which I absolutely consider it season one my most favorite season as an overall of any of the Game of Thrones universes, dropped dramatically for season two. And I think it was just because it moved at a slower pace and it felt a little more disjointed in what they were trying to get to and achieve in that season. That being said, I know nothing about Knights of the Seven Kingdom. So Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, I should say.
Right.
I haven't read the books. I don't know anything about the history or the mythology. I only know that it takes place between House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones. And I also, through just loose information, though it's supposed to be not a light comedy, but a light-hearted story in the universe of the Game of Thrones. Now, that being said, I feel like they're going to have to do a little bit of darkness into it somehow. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that all plays out. But as for the first episode that dropped last night, I thought it was good. I liked it. I like the characters. I like the I like the innocence of the lead character of what's his name?
Dunk.
Dunk. Yes, Dunk. I got to say Duncan. It's like no Dunk.
Yeah.
Um,
Dunk in the Tall.
yeah, yes, yeah, and I like the innocence of that character in this world. I don't know what that means. I'm sure we're going to see character development and that sort of stuff. But as a first episode, I thought it was fine. It was a little slow for my liking, but also all the other Game of Thrones stories usually start off slow. You have to introduce the world and the characters and the time period that they are in. And so I feel like that we got a nice introduction, but I'm ready for it to kind of move a bit of a pace in the future. I'm hoping so. That's my thought on the episode.
Yeah, it's amazing because I like the episode.
Mm.
Granted, I understand where you're coming from, like this little slow pace, but I'm like, wait a minute.
Right.
I remember feeling this similarity in a different text and different scenario with Mandalorian, and I loved it because again, I
Sure.
grew up with like the spaghetti western stuff, and
Oh
most
yeah.
westerns are a little slow, and even samurai movies. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
I threw the
It was
topic. I'm
very
like, wait a minute.
Western, wasn't it?
Yes,
It was very Western. You're right. I didn't even pick up
yes.
on that until you said it now. It's like it
Mm-hmm.
felt like a Western. Absolutely. Yeah. But within the knighthood elements of it.
Dude and his
Yeah.
horse trying to make it to a
Hmm.
town and do something
Hmm.
above his name and whatnot. And
Yeah.
what I appreciated, and like it hit me at first, was like, wait a minute, they are making an effort that being like, this is not like Game of Thrones, and this is
Right.
not like
Yeah.
House of the
Oh yeah.
Dragon, but
Yeah.
it's in the same world, just in a
Yeah.
different time and different
Yeah.
circumstances. And to be quite even like more direct, different point of view of class, where like those two shows,
Yeah.
they're dealing with
Yeah.
the Kennedys and the Clintons and the Bushes, you know, to our, you know, to our references, but like it's these big name families that are in power or in different levels of it. But this one is just like just a
the
dude,
cowboy.
Literally the dude,
right.
samurai, like who just like he lost his adoptive, what it comes off as adoptive dad, and now it's like, all right, what am I gonna do? Well, you know, I'm his squire. I've been wanting to be a knight. Well, let's go, you know, not pick a fight, but let's go to this tournament and see if I can make a name for myself. And yeah, man, I loved, and again, I had only heard about Dunk and Egg through the grapevine. I was hearing all these novellas, we were gonna get Dunk and Egg and whatnot. And when this show was announced, and there was this like teaser early on, a year or two ago, I was like, okay, that's a prequel. That's another spinoff of Game of Thrones. I wonder what that's like. And then I remember seeing a teaser and being like, I like this, but it's not blowing up, at least marketing wise, like House of the Dragon or even the original Game of Thrones. And I'm like, I kind of dig that. And I mean, the key in it is when they start playing the Game of Thrones music, dun, 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 and then poor Dunk has to, like, he's got the runs and he's got to take a mean ass shit. I'm not gonna post an image, but and it's just like, I'm like, oh man, and I'm like, ooh, I wonder if people are gonna buy into that or go with it or not, because again, there's.
It was a little gross. I mean, the wide shot there was a little disturbingly put together, but that's Game of Thrones. So you're right. They are hitting those wild marks in that, and I feel like they're going to keep hitting that personally. I think they're going to hit those. We are going to see some blood and gore is where I'm going with that. I'm guessing.
I think so. Yeah, eventually we have to. Like it's Westeros. Like, how do you not deal with it? The thing is,
oh, totally.
I don't even. And they already again they teased it when he went to the village and or the tourney, and he's he's there with the ladies there and be like, yo, I'm looking for this guy and whatnot. And they're like, oh, did he fuck your wife? Oh no, okay, he's busy doing whatever. Like, I don't have a wife. But I like that we're just thrown into it and be like, best compliment I can give is that you don't have to be a Game of Thrones fan to get into this. Like, if you are, stuff will stick and be like, oh, I know that house name, I know this and whatnot.
But at the same time, the semi lack of publicity may only draw the Game of Thrones fans because nobody else may be really looking to find this. I don't know. That's where I feel like you're right. The promotion in this really hasn't been huge, in my opinion. The marketing of it. I would have forgotten about it if someone hadn't mentioned it starts this week to me. So, but
and here's the thing: it's not just him who Sir Duncan the Tall, who's played by Peter. I forget his name. Peter. Hold on, let me give me a sec. His name is Peter Claffey. That's his name.
Okay.
But the other one that links it all is Egg.
Yeah.
Played by Dexter Soul Ansell. This kid. He has like an old soul in him because he has the wit, he has the knowledge. He's like, I don't care if you're 6 feet, 10 feet tall. Like, dude, you need a squire. Like, I never heard of you. You're a knight. Oh, really? I'm not impressed. And all this stuff. And you're like, damn, this kid. It's got, again, not comparing that, but like, it reminds me of what I had seen of Arya Stark in Game of Thrones, and even a little bit of Rhaenyra, young Rhaenyra, played by Millie Alcock, just like, yo, I don't care what you got. And being direct. How did you feel about Egg when he's introduced in this episode?
One, I know nothing about the character, but the kid is extremely mature for his age, and that kid is looks very young. He looks like he's at least maybe 11 years old, maybe 12 if lucky. So yeah, performance of the actor, of the kid himself, fantastic. As for the charm of the character, I like the pairing of him and Dunk because it seems like they are polar opposites in some ways, but it's polar opposites that are going to need each other down the track. I feel like the kid is physically going to be vulnerable and, small and be in harm's way in occasions, situations. It feels like that's the vibe, but Dunk has got the strength behind him, where Dunk doesn't have the intelligence to stop and, understand the way things work, and this kid is the intelligent side of his character. So I think it's an interesting pairing of two characters on screen. So I'm looking forward to seeing how, again, that develops. So, yeah.
Yeah, and again, for I'm about to reference that, like, it from up until that point, from the first book, the first story I read, it's literally straight up adaptation. I mean, the only difference is when, I think when they cut back, and I could be wrong, I haven't read it in a few days, but like when Dunk is telling him like you never hit it, you never hit me when I deserved it, and then just cuts to him all the time he smacked him.
Yes.
And the notion that keeps telling the kid like, yo, take care of the horse. I'm gonna give you a smack in the ear or whatnot. And you even see in a moment where he's like, listen, kid, like, you don't want to go with me. Like, you're better off where you're at. And he I think even then he's like, I don't want to treat him the way Sir Alan like treating me, even though I do appreciate that he bothered even to treat me at all the way he references like I was orphan. So I love that dynamic.
Yeah, that definitely works for sure.
Yeah.
And sorry, within you said you read just the chapter we watched as an episode in the book, or you read the whole?
I've read the whole the whole book of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. It holds 3 novellas, 3 short stories.
Okay,
the first short story is this whole
is the
season.
First one. Oh, okay. And this first season, I've heard, is only supposed to be a couple of days. Is that correct?
Yes, it's 6 episodes, half an hour each, and it covers only a few days of
the life
Sir Duncan the Tall and Eggs of their life.
Okay, okay. And that was somebody else told me, so I was unaware of that too. So maybe that was a spoiler for the future. I don't know, but I like the idea. I like again, I don't know where it's going. I'm assuming he's going to make some sort of impact. I'm sure both the characters are going to make some sort of impact and get to a position of help, and and where they want to be. Maybe they don't. I don't know. I'm curious to see. Anyway,
well, let me ask you this, because this is a curious question. How do you feel about me telling you that this is only a season of television that's 6 episodes and 6 episodes with half an hour length? How do you feel about that? Because we're not used to that in Game of Thrones. It's usually what?
You're right. Yeah,
and maybe an hour.
Yeah, I mean, this feels like then you're telling me it's like an episode of a season of 24, so to speak. That within a couple of days kind of range. So I feel like I'm curious to see. I don't know, considering the fact it takes months to get from one place to another. I feel like we're going to be in this small town for the duration of these couple of days. I could be once again wrong, but he's there to become a knight, obviously. So if that plays out, then we're going to see how that commences, I'm guessing. And I'm also guessing that the other characters that have been introduced, including the is he a king? No, he's not a king. Is he a king? The guy with the crown with the
okay.
I'm jumping ahead here, but I feel like that character is. I feel like that character has got a lot to play with the progression of this character, because it's an interesting connection of, let's
class.
Class, different classes that just naturally sync to each other in some perverse, bizarre way of moment of like right place, right time. And it surprised me. By the end of the episode, that did surprise me, because I did like, and I can't remember the actor's name and I can't remember the character's name. I'm bad with names, but
he
was interesting.
Yeah. Before I tell you who the character is, Hyrule Viewin, please forgive me if I'm butchering your name. Says an emoji. How you doing? Thank you for watching. So the guy with the antlers helmet that you're referring to.
Yes. Yeah. It's Baratheon. Yeah.
That is Sir, I believe, or just Lord Lionel Baratheon.
Yeah.
Now, for those who passively know about Game of Thrones, Baratheon is one of the big house names, and if you watch Game of Thrones, Robert Baratheon is the king when the show starts, and he's good friends with Ned Stark, House of Stark. So I was just like, wait a minute, is that a Baratheon? Like, what?
So this would be probably his great grandfather, maybe, perhaps.
I believe so. I think the show is 100 years before the events of Game of Thrones, so I believe it would be his great grandfather, Robert Baratheon. And that is actor Daniel Ings, and dude, again, I didn't look into it too much. I saw a trailer and I was like, you know what? The less I know, I think the better. And this dude has a wit that matches Egg. And like, even when he's like, I have a thought, and then he's like,
yeah.
In my ancestors told me, and he just, the fuck was I gonna say? And I was like, oh, what the hell? And then like, just you see like Dunk be like, I'm gonna eat, and hopefully nobody sees the tall dude in the tent just eating and trying to grab a meal or not. It was, oh, how did you feel about that scene? Because that scene is probably, outside of the other one that I'm gonna mention later, is probably my favorite scene of the first episode.
Yeah, it was a fun scene. First, that actor actually apparently is in Star Wars Starfighter. I heard.
What?
I think I read something, and I don't know if it's true, but I believe he is supposed to be also in Starfighter. Apparently, I don't know what type of capacity, but I think I read it somewhere. Again, it might be someone tried to find the information and let us know if it's right or not correct.
You're right. It's on IMDb.
It is? Okay, right. Yeah. So he's actually in there.
Cool. Yeah. I'm happy for him.
Yeah. So as a performance, I thought he gave this really cool performance, because I really was, I'll be honest, when they first met in the tent at the beginning of the banquet, I was actually on the edge and like, is this going to really blow up badly for our lead, for our hero? Because I feel like this could go either way. And the way he was playing it up, actually it was weird, because the more that he was playing it up, the more I was silently going, no, he's just making bullshit, for this. He's actually
fucking with him. Yeah,
it's fucking with him. But at the same time, there's the possibility of mortal threat. He, Dunk walked in and started eating this guy's food when he was not really invited, and just randomly just walked in. And I thought that was kind of funny. It was a great moment. As the night progresses, I just thought it was an interesting pairing, as you said, between class, because at the end of the day, you just show the fact that these two different classes really are of a similar perspective or level of character. Again, whether that changes down the track in the story, I don't know. I was almost half expecting him to be the one who actually grants him the name. He had to go see a knight to enter the competition. I was almost expecting him to ask Baratheon. Maybe he will. Maybe, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
What else happened in that scene?
I mean, he kind of asked for advice. I mean, eventually, he like you said, he was like, he's like, you come from my head. Like, no. He's like, why the fuck are you in my tent? And he's like, supper. I was hungry. And I love the casual, just like, all right.
I think it went. And after the dancing scene, it just cuts to have his Dunk has just got the king, the crown on his head. That's the king's crown, so to speak. That's the, that did make me laugh. Actually, that was a moment for sure.
Yeah, I love for people who want the visuals, here you go. Sir Duncan the Tall wearing Lionel Baratheon's helmet, like his
helmet.
Crown, man.
It is a crown. But
it's a crown.
Is it the official crown that we see in later seasons without the antlers? I feel like it looked
wrong. I just know that like in some of the visual I had seen of Duncan, Sir Duncan Egg and Duncan Egg stories, I always saw someone with an antlers like crown. So I was like, I think that is a crown I want. And here's Jake in the conversation. Hey Jake, how you doing? He says, I was unsure how to feel about this episode, but it surprised me for sure. That's a great. Yeah, that's a great notion. Because again, you have different perspective going into it. Like there's a hardcore fans. How are they going to feel about this approach to Westeros? And those who don't know, Game of Thrones, they probably only heard that like, oh, the show's all about killing and gore and sex and incest and whatnot. And it's like, what is this gonna about? And like you said, like again, a touchy moment where like they're both drunk in essence, and he's like, dude, I don't know what I'm getting myself into. Like, what am I gonna do? Because, and I love this shot. This is one of my favorite shots in the episode. I was just like him asking him for like guidance or like advice, like what should I do? And I love, like, again, genuine moment from someone of in this world, high class, going, I don't know. But being honest, like, dude, I am drunk. Don't ask me for advice. I am drunk as hell. But I love that he told him, like, it's an honorable thing to, like, challenge oneself or something they don't know what they're getting, and something like it's an honorable thing to, like, step beyond your own boundaries and see what you're made of. I love that. That was in essence a moment of, like, someone who he's never met before and heard of him. And, I thought he would be taller, but being like, wow, he was genuinely a cool dude, wild as hell, but he's a cool dude. And I truly did appreciate that.
I also question, again, without knowing anything about the book or anything in the future, I wonder if that is going to be change between the dynamic between those two once Baratheon is kind of not drunk and being in charge. And I'm curious to see how that will play out in the future. Is this a false beginning where we think they're going to be friends and maybe something different happens, or are they going to remain friends and he steps up to be the knight for that particular king, and all that stuff? I don't know. I mean, again, it's like it does lead out for questions, and I think that's more interesting for me about wanting to watch episode 2, is to see where that dynamic goes, as well as especially between that and then, of course, the dynamic between Egg and Dunk as well. Because the other thing I was going to say there is that scene where they're looking at the stars and they're having that moment of, like, everybody else is under a closed roof and we're out here,
we're living
our freedom, and we're looking up at the stars and taking this moment. And it was like, okay, I see that there's going to be a very mentor father-son relationship with this kid and this character that we've just been introduced to, and I'm glad that the violence that Dunk had from his foster father did not necessarily flow through to him, because in that kind of world of Game of Thrones, you could very well see him turn around and smack
a hardship,
and you could see a hardship could exist, and that's not going to exist, or it doesn't seem like it's going to exist in this story, at least, I'm guessing. So
and again, kind of to probably my favorite scene of the episode, which concludes it, is that he survives the tent with the Baratheons. And along the way, he sees someone performing a play, which I thought was a beautiful puppet play. And again, for book readers, that is Ansell, who again, I don't want to spoil stuff, but, like, imagine does something really cool for Dunk, and also puts him in a scenario that makes a sound and makes an introduction to him to the rest of the tourney. Played by Tamsin Crawford. I liked that, like, after all this mess and, like, him being almost over his head, like, it seemed like, he has a little crush, and she's a performer in the arts, telling a story about the dragon and the slaying and whatnot. And when we get to the next few episodes, I'll dive into more of Tanzo and how I feel about where we're at. But I liked her introduction, and again, no dialogue between them, but the notion that, like, you can tell he is fond of the play, and I think even fonder of her. And I thought that was pretty cool. I wanted to do.
I want to talk technical just for a second, because I mean, obviously a much smaller scale than Game of Thrones. We're not getting our massive big castles and huge set interiors. We really are in again, at least in the pilot episode, a single outdoor location that seems pretty relatively small. At the same time, just that puppetry with the dragon was fantastic. Like, that was physical, physical puppet artists doing puppetry there by the look of it. And I almost, like, I had this love. I have this mind where I love seeing how this sort of stuff works, whether it was like Little Shop of Horrors or any of these other pieces of puppetry, or the Muppets, or anything that's like that. The idea of how that sort of movement looks so gorgeous and incredible. I want to know the making of. I want to see the making of this book and see the puppetry just on that one little piece of a, live show piece that they did, because it looked incredible. It looked amazing.
Which then leads us to the thing you're alluding to, which is he goes, Dunk goes back to his place where he was setting up. And also, before we go into it, I want to say this: the music for this episode was amazing. The little whistle theme, if like
You know what?
that was even playing. I
I'm
loved it, man.
going to have to rewatch it again because I'll be honest, for the most part, the music went over my head. I think I was more head focused on trying to see who was
What was
and who
happening?
yeah, and that was, you need to put a lot of attention when you're looking at a new Game of Thrones show when you're watching, if you have no idea, but you have to concentrate. So for some reason, I have to say the music kind of, with the exception of the main theme that popped in at the beginning there, because it's so recognizable, I have to go back and just listen to the score again. And I believe the score is this full score online, or is it going to be dropped online soon? Because
I hope so, because I want to reread the first story while listening to the score and whatnot. Like the whistle that was playing while
right.
Dunk was like taking a shower and drying. It felt like there's this song called Arizona Dreaming, which is like a Western whistle song, and it felt like that rendition, but in knighthood and a Game of Thrones style. And I was like, I was so charmed by it, and it plays again when Sir Duncan the Tall makes his way back to his camp and he finds little old Egg.
Yeah. Yes.
And I love the banter of like, what's your name? Dunk. There's no name for a knight. Is it short for Duncan? Yeah. Sir Duncan the Tall. It's like, never heard of him. Do you all know the knights of the Seven Kingdoms? He's like, the good ones. And I was like, oh. And he tells him my name. My name's Egg. And he's like, I should beat you to death for what you've done, but you look like you've barely eaten anything. And I love this touch moment because he remembered that the kid was like, hey, take me to the tourney. I want to be your squire. He's like, okay.
Yeah.
I'll let you be my squire.
Going back to that scene in like stepping back a little bit when he was in the full armor on the horse, I did crack up. I was like, yeah, you shouldn't be doing that, kid. But it was funny. It was a moment. It was cool.
The way it's drawn in the novel, it's literally right out of the novel. Like the stands, like I was like, when I went and read it, I was like, damn, that was accurate as hell. An adaptation, obviously, but it was damn accurate. And dude, Dexter does something when he starts hearing that like Duncan's like, okay, I'll let you be my squire for the tourney, and then afterwards we'll see. And he's blunt with him, like listen, I don't have a lot, but if you do good, you do what you're told, you don't mouth out a lot. You won't, you'll have clothes on your back and you have food in your belly. And he says like, I won't beat you unless you deserve it. And there's this smile. I couldn't get the shot, but there's this beautiful smile of Dexter as Egg saying, "Yes, my lord," and him be like, "Sir, I'm only a hedge knight." And I thought it was just a beautiful moment. Moment between the characters, which then cuts to this one where they see a shooting star. And Egg says, "Those who witness shooting stars get luck." And he goes, "Well, then the luck must be with us, isn't it?" And then just pulls back, cut to black, and that's the end of the first episode. And I'll just say this: that witnesses of a shooting star, that location where they're at, is going to come back to play. In the season, and I'll just leave it at that because it is this meeting, this moment is poetic, and you'll see what it means later down the line.
Okay, all right, I'm intrigued.
Yeah,
it's cool.
And you know what? For 30 minutes, again, sure, slow. Not a lot of stuff is done.
Yeah, but I also have come to I've come to get used to that they need to have a slow introduction because they are introducing usually so many characters. Here we're not as many characters, but we're reintroducing the world as it is at this point in time. So I'm fine with that too. I expect it to be slow, but I also expect it to pick up pace a little bit too.
Yeah, and again, you have to make a mark in terms of difference. Like, how is this different from House of the Dragon? And how is the House of the Dragon and A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms different from Game of Thrones? You just have to do that. And I love that they did it in this way. And again, I feel, having now read the first story, if they would have stretched it out more, it would have been a Hobbit scenario where it's a small book that they stretched it out to 3 movies. Right. And like, no, keep it simple. Like, I know where this episode ends, where the part in the story where it ends, and where it leads up onwards. And again, you're gonna meet other characters. You're gonna meet an element that is going to push these characters from just small town folk to like, okay, the spotlight is on y'all.
Right.
What are y'all going to do about it, and how are you going to go about it?
Are you talking about the second and third story at this point, where it
Onwards?
leads? Or
no. Season 1 is the first story.
And is it just these characters contained, and that's it for these characters, or
For
are they
now.
actually part of the story too? Okay, all right, I see.
I'll leave it at that. I don't want to say more.
All right.
Just because, again, there are moments.
So what you're saying, season two is probably going to be story 2, and season 3 is going to be story 3. Okay, I get you.
What they've been alluding to thus far, yes, yeah.
Okay, all right, okay, all right.
I'm very curious if people either right now watching the show or on replay, for book readers, how do they feel about this adaptation to the first episode, and also how do hardcore fans who don't read the books or maybe have read the books but love the first 2 shows, how do they feel about this adjustment? Because it is an adjustment. I liked it, but even me who really likes the world of Game of Thrones, I'm not a hardcore fan of it. It's not my Star Wars. Right. How they feel about this, because and it's kind of a unique thing that I bring up Star Wars, we've been messing with that in the recent years, where like there's different pacing to stuff. Andor is nothing like the Mandalorian and Andor are nothing like Obi-Wan Kenobi or any of the sequel trilogy films. And like you need that. I think it helps having different point of views for something of a big IP like this, and especially since there's 3 short stories out right now for these characters in this portion of the world. Where does that leave off? Are you hoping that there's no? I'm trying to be careful how do I phrase this. Do you want this story to go bombastic, or do you want us to stay in this simplistic style for the time being?
I will be honest. I watched the trailer for the next episode.
Okay.
And I can see it ramps up. But again, I think I said at the beginning is like these shows, they introduce the world. You start off slow and then you move quickly. Now we're usually used to eight episodes usually on a show like this, or 10 episodes or whatever. So we're talking about 6 episodes, right? So I imagine that we have to move pretty quickly pretty soon afterwards. So if we are, I still feel like we're going to be existing in the town. Obviously, they're building up to this joust situation. Because they mentioned it in this episode, and there's so I assume that he's somehow going to find someone who's going to allow him to get into this and go from there. And then I don't know where it's going to go there. I don't know what that will mean for the character. If he wins, what does that mean for him in this world to, become, recognized in the beginning of his, night element? And if he loses, then what does that also mean for him and the people around him? So I don't know. You're going to assume that he's going to get to a point and win, but it's Game of Thrones universe, so you never know. You never know. I don't know. So my prediction basically is that yes, he's going to go into the tournament and he's going to end up by possibly getting recognized. I don't know if that means he's going to win or not, but he will get himself recognized, and that will feed him points to becoming a real knight, I guess is my guessing goal. But yeah, as I said, it's Game of Thrones universe. We don't know.
And also, again, I couldn't bring up the visual, but in the inn that Dunk meets Egg, you see that he bumped into someone who's drunk, and then at some point he goes, "I've seen you in my dream before." And
yes.
And he goes like, "Stay the fuck away from me!" And he drops a coin on the table.
Yeah.
And it's a coin or an emblem that has a dragon, 3-headed dragon.
Oh yes, that was Targaryen, right? Oh, yeah, Targaryen coin. I noticed that.
So what does that mean for the rest of the stuff?
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. That little prophecy moment of seeing you I can only predict and guess at this point. I'm going to assume it's going to be an adversary for him. I'm guessing, and that. Oh, hang on. Who are the people who has visions in Game of Thrones? Not many of the Targaryens have visions, do they? Or do they? I don't
I
know.
don't know.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. It's still too early for me to kind of see anything beyond those moments of somehow he's going to become a knight, and somehow it's not going to go all the right way that he wants it to, but he'll somehow get there. Is my guess.
So my guess is that the person I'm going to bring in right now just saw the first episode, and I haven't talked to him that much about Game of Thrones and how he feels about the franchise and whatnot. So I'm going to bring in our friend JoypadJake. Hey Jake, how you doing, man?
What's up? How you guys doing?
So we're gonna wrap up soon, but I was like, I want to hear your thoughts because you just saw the episode, right?
Yep.
Are you a big Game of Thrones fan?
I definitely was a while ago. I've been removed from the IP for a little bit. I loved the first 5 Game of Thrones seasons. I loved the first House of the Dragon season. Was not as crazy. Yeah, was not as crazy on the second season, but still thought it was enjoyable enough. And I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about this, but from what I've seen so far, I really came off liking it, I gotta say.
So right now you've seen the first episode. How do you feel about the episode as a whole? Like, is there an element that you'd liked a lot? Was there a character that stood out to you the most? What hit you immediately after finishing the first episode?
So just the single element I can really think of. Oh, full screen. I really want to learn more of, when we first get plopped into this world, I want to know, where does this take place? What has happened? What has yet to happen that we already know about? And I think the thing that stuck out to me the most is really just the show as a whole, is the prospect of learning more about the Blackfire Rebellion. Like, that really interests me a lot, and I want to see where that goes. And we can assume that the series is going to go through that and drop more nuggets on that as it goes through, and I want to see how that pays off, really. So that's the first thing I can think of immediately.
All right. Were you confused by the elements, or were you, because again, you've seen the first five seasons of Game of Thrones and the first few seasons of House of the Dragon? Yeah. Was it a lot to?
I finished Game of Thrones. I just wasn't a fan of the last 3 seasons.
I figured, yeah. Did you like the I don't want to say transition to this one, where it's like, again, half an hour only or less, 6-episode season? How do you feel about that element with the story?
I mean, it's different than how they've done TV in the past, because they did their episodes, they used to be longer. The seasons were obviously a lot longer. I mean, you're talking 10 years ago when just network TV was very different as a whole. But I don't mind this series taking that approach, because they can tell, tightly knit stories while expanding their world at the same time. There's not like 20 minutes that you have to pad with a bunch of filler material, which a lot of network TV shows are definitely very guilty of. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious to see how they go about it.
Okay. Did you have a favorite moment of the episode?
Favorite moment, probably when I don't know if you guys have talked about this or not, but probably when Denzel showed up. I got to be honest, I loved that part.
Oh, with the puppets playing and whatnot.
Loved that whole sequence. And you can tell that Dunk is clearly like smitten for her, but he has his priorities right. He's just here to fight. That's what he's there for. But just that whole sequence, I loved too. And even another moment that, not necessarily a moment itself, but the presence that a character brought was Plumber. I liked a lot in this too, which, played by Tom Von Lawler. For any Marvel fans out there, was Ebony Maw from the Avengers films, and bringing that same sort of gravitas where he just commands the scene. Really, I always love whenever you have performances and actors that can do that, to where it's not as though they're demanding your attention, but they have it immediately once they're on the screen.
Yeah.
So, from performance standpoints, but just, learning more about, who these characters are, and really filling more of the world out, which is, I honestly, there were moments where this episode made me think of what I love about Andor so much, is that, like, filling in the world and the history and learning about, like, they put you in a spot and you're wondering, okay, what made this place what it is now as you're seeing it. So I always love whenever media does that.
I agree. And I'm gonna start wrapping things up and say that for anybody who had any trepidation with this first episode and we're like, unsure, I'll say this: as someone who's seen the season, a review out, please stick with it. Again, I always talk about, sometimes I don't want to watch the, in the coming weeks of so and so. They hinted a lot of stuff. Brett, you saw
I did, yeah. I don't know if that was for just next week or the rest of the season that they showed. So it was enough. I think I needed that as a first-time viewer of this particular show, of not knowing anything. So it showed enough for me to say, okay, I don't remember anything except for a bit of action, a bit of this, and little flashes and moments. It was like, okay, it was enticing enough for me to want to keep watching, and that it's not going to keep a slow pace for the next 6 episodes or 5 episodes. So yeah.
Did you see it, Jake?
What's that?
In the coming weeks of.
I did see that. I'm not like digging around for answers, making predictions. I mean, there are a number of shows that I do that for, where I stay awake trying to think of what it could mean, but this is one of those shows where I just want to see how it unfolds.
Yeah, I'm agreed. I do agree. Me too.
And with that, I'm gonna say that, like, folks, stick with it, because when stuff happens, eventually you're gonna go, wait, what? And then you're gonna go, what the fuck? And then you're gonna go, holy shit! And then I'll leave it at that. But muchachos, thanks so much for taking the time out of your day to talk a little of A Night of Kingdoms. If you've dug this stream, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share the enthusiasm. If you liked it, hell, we might even come back next week and do it again, because again, it's a shorter season than most Game of Thrones seasons, so I wouldn't have any problem doing this for the next 5 weeks.
If I'm available and not working, absolutely.
Yeah, and doing that. So I might end up doing this again for next week and see how people feel about the episode too. But boys, thanks so much for taking the time. Please, Jake, plug yourself. Let people know where they can find you and if you got anything coming up.
Sure. You can catch me right there, JoypadJake on YouTube. I've got my own series that I do, Jake's Lost Levels on Sundays, where kind of in summary, one of my game consoles kind of crapped itself out and I lost a bunch of data. So I, spend every Sunday slowly getting all of that data back. We just started a new game last night. We started Lego Batman 3 Beyond Gotham as kind of a way to build up anticipation for the Legacy of the Dark Knight game coming out in May. And then in addition to that, you can see here on my image, I just gave the channel a new logo, wanted to give it a little bit more personality.
Nice.
And then, I've got rankings coming out. I've got Let's Plays. I'm in the middle of a Jack and Dexter Let's Play right now that is going to be likely done around spring. And then, pretty much a bunch of just, things related to comics and other media. And, I might eventually break from the norm and cover some things like this if they pique my interest well enough. If one of these guys isn't doing it, and I might do some of that coverage on my own. We'll see. I won't promise it. But and I'm on the road to a 2,000 subs right now. We're 200 and change away. I want to see if we can get there by the time summer rolls around.
Nice. Beautiful. Go subscribe, y'all. Brent, where can people find you and let people know what you got coming?
You can find me on Age of Grogu, and I've been offline a little bit. I haven't been doing as much. I haven't been as active online between work and other things at the end of last year. It just kind of got in the way. So I'm doing my New Year's resolution of trying to be a little bit more active. I usually do some reactions to trailers and TV shows. Not particularly this one. I have got one I'm going to be doing. I'm looking forward to One Piece Season 2. And of course, anything Star Wars I'm going to react to. So I'm looking forward to that. And the MCU stuff usually as well, which I think we've got What's coming up at the end of the month?
Wonder Man.
Wonder Man. Thank you. Yes, that's it. Yes. So I know a little about that, but I have a friend who did some work and background set design on it. We're working on it, so I'm curious to see what is there. And then usually I just I that's basically about it right now. Oh, and to do some unboxings and stuff like that too, and make some miniature models. I'm a big Star Wars fan, obviously. So yeah, cool,
beautiful. Jeffrey. Hi, Jeffrey. Oh my God, another Ronin live. Damn, I missed it. Jake thinks he's Superman. Just kidding. Hello. Yeah, Jeffrey. Fortunately, that's how it is. But please, you can rewatch the replay and let people know that most likely I'll be doing this live every week for the next few weeks until the season concludes. If anybody's interested in joining and talk Game of Thrones, if you're a hardcore fan or not, let me know. And what was that?
You think you're going to stick it to Mondays?
I think I might do it to Mondays. Yeah, and again, only nothing too long. Again, unless more people gathered, and I'm like, okay, it's worthy of discussion or not. But I think it'll be Monday. It'll be fitting, complimentary for the the night after the episode has come out to have almost like a commentary thing you could watch or listen to while you're watching the episode again. So keep on the lookout for that. I rewatch it. I also have to watch the episode. Well, there you go. Hopefully, we didn't bullshit for you. Damn it. But yeah, watch the episode and then come back and hang out with us with this. Yeah, in about an hour, if my calculations are correct, I'm gonna be dropping another short on my channel.
Cool.
Of my reaction, because I did a reaction for the episode, so you can go check that out. And then, much like Brent, I already got a bunch of stuff I'm working on with Star Wars related stuff for the next few months. And I think, depending on what goes down, maybe for the Super Bowl, I might do a live stream if any big trailers, teasers noteworthy of to talk about. I might do a stream then, TBD. And then what else? I got stuff I'm refining of anime. And then don't be surprised if in the next few days you get a mini review of the book, because again, I've only read the first story and I am debating whether I should continue onwards or wait till season 2 to read the next story. So don't be surprised if you get a review out of this.
I'll be in 2 years' time, everybody. I'll be in 2 years' time.
I know. It's the same thing with manga. Like, I'm like, did I read the manga or should I wait for the anime to come back? Like, I don't know. I'm debating that right now to see how I feel about it. But you could tune into that. And again, thank you folks for checking it out. Subscribe, hit the like button, share the enthusiasm, and we'll see you on the next video. Take care, everybody.